Hello guys, Hikiami Moriko desu, and welcome to another indie game. This one's called Ballads at Midnight. Let's start the game. Chapter 1, Prelude to Dawn. Let's see. My wrist itch. Well, the art looks really good. My stomach is churning and empty. My legs are sore. The swath of hemp fabric strung out around my cheeks and tied in a knot behind my head is chafing against the corners of my mouth. There's a bitterness on my tongue. I deeply wonder if this taste of regret. There's no name to, I don't know how the character is called, but looks really nice. My two armors scored right ahead of me, exchanging hostile words. I make a short, unhappy noise to contribute to the conversation. They ignore me. Pug Market Guardsman. Very sure, sir? Really, are you? Shouldn't we stop and make camp before sundown, sir? The younger guardsman is jittery and demanding with... it's because she's thinking, right? That's because there's no name on it. With stop buster that reminds me of a rat. His round face is marked with pockmarks and word lines. Old guardman. No need, we're making good time. The other guard is all slashed and carrying wall, has a deep, crusty voice well fit to his frame. I understand him struggle to fit through a door. The pockmarked guard glances towards the horizon line, gritting his teeth. But sir, enough. We will be rid of her today. Be rid of me? Like being rid of some pit-stained rock? How rude. What did I ever do to garner such a objectification? Feeling vexed, I continue to groan and yell against the hand between my teeth. Is she a prisoner? Looks like it. It is inarticulate and far from the most grateful sound I ever made, but I make it sound like increasingly urgent. Noise and more noise. One of them pulls the reins of the horse, dismounting with a dull, armor clatter like rattling dish cabinet. It's a younger one. Good. He approaches me, muttering swears as he reaches back to yank the gag from my head. What, convict? What is it now? Oh, I get to choose. Most people buy me a drink before they bring out the gag. Wink. That's. She smiles. Look. When I put the mouse on the choice, she smiles. You're all ingrates. You hear me? Low brown barbaric boneheads the whole of you start screaming, and she gets mad. She gets flirty. She gets mad. Wow, this is actually a really cool decision making screen. I love it. But what do I can I save? Yeah, I'm gonna save on the first slot. So let's think how this would work in real life. I don't think flirting works, but I don't think he's gonna buy it, and even if he does, the other one won't do it. So I guess I will start screaming. You're all ingrates, you hear me? Low-browed barbaric boneheads, the whole lot of you. Will you make her stop? What did you ungag her for? I'm sorry. You all be sorry. The pockmarked guard wheels on me, exasperated. Convict, stop it. You attract wolves. My scream dies down only slightly. Gods, you really haven't learned your lesson. What's wrong with you? He almost sounds amazed. If my hands weren't tied, I'd turn my wrist and do a curtsy. But because my hands are tied, I decide to get in his face. What's wrong? I worry, you know. Me, a prisoner. Oh yeah, you don't have a name then. Igor, you know exactly what's wrong. I was under the impression we moved past ritualistic sacrifice as a civilization. You see, I thought we were better than all of this. Yet here you knuckleheads are dragging me through the woods to feed me to a god-forsaken vampire. A vampire? Interesting. I stomp on a branch when I get close enough to ensuing crack obscure the sound as I unseal the dagger from his belt. I palm it under my sleeve in a quick motion, hoping my ruse goes unnoticed. The guard stumbles away from me. He draws his sword to keep me at bay, snarling. You keep away, you heretic! Don't come near me! I raise my bound wrist in front of my chest, widening my eyes to look appropriately frightened. Okay. And still I have his dagger. By the time he clambers back on his horse, his older companion extends his arms and smacks the back of the young guardman's head. Idiot! Now we have to listen to her belly banging out the rest of the journey. Do we? The younger guard rubs his head, sounding defensive. She caused nothing but trouble. Why not slit her throat and be done with it? Let the wildlife take care of the remains. Ah! The old guard hits him again. I find humor in this slapstick routine if they weren't discussing my imminent demise. Shush, boy. We carry Her Majesty's orders to the letter, and you and I, no shortcuts. You know the severity of our laws. Underhand practice will cause you your damn hands. The pockmarked guard hunches forward on the shoulders. His eyes are round like he wants to arc, but he begrudgingly clamps his mouth shut. I, on the other hand, half-dodged dependent for making my observations now, and I am blessed with quick retorts. Or it just cost the fingers if you're lucky, I noticed her whistle one here missing at the door too. I raised my restrained palms, wiggling my fingers. They glowered balefully at me. I've seen actual battlefields, harlot. Do not liken me to your crooked, bar-brawling ilk. I'm sorry, but these words are new to me. Or not new to me, but I'm not used to talking like this. I hope you bear with me. Convict, heretic, and no harlot. Wonderful. I roll my eyes and wrinkle my nose at him. I'll be anything that the old man is slaying. Elubia hasn't weighed any worse in the past half-century. Furthermore, he boasted to my jailers that he's been assigned to this post for the brunt of his services to the crown. But I know better than to push my luck with him. He's more prone to violence than the other guardsmen. I used to lag behind at the start of the journey, defiant and stubborn. The old one never hesitated to yank the rope around my wrist, lurching me right into the brambles and sharp stones. Defying him, I learned, meant having scrap palms and knees at best. At best. So, when are we breaking free? Our pace carefully slows when we cross a mossy log and series of thick tangled roots, for the horse's sake, of course, rather than mine. I work my jaw in silence for a while, keeping a measured distance behind them. My grip on the dagger is unwieldy and clumsy. Aiming it towards my bone is trickier than I imagined. I flinch at the point to jab against my inner arm, but shut the guards a winning smile when they turn to look at me. So, Gold Curse Forest, huh? Did you volunteer to escort prisoners through the bleach brush, or was it an internet post? Father's father and such? The pockmarked guard scoffs and mimics my words under his breath. Nothing to fear in the old woods, lass. Not if you're properly armed. Nothing but bears and wolves. People steer clear because they fear what lies in the way beyond. Surely you know that much. The men don't deign to tell me how they were assigned to their roles. None of my business, I suppose. An overhead canopy of leaves parts allowing me a patch of sunlight to hit my scalp and cheek. The journey has been long and exhausted, but not altogether difficult. I'd even considered it idyllic from its perpetual backdrop of bird songs and distantly running water. Any sense of leisure sinks and colds at the pit of my stomach as I realize the birds have gone silent, and the sound of water has risen into a dull roar. Before us is a murky disk of water, blemishly green with algae miles long, miles wide, and a harrowingly uncertain depth. A jack ostentatious state, puttering from the ground like a sword through someone's back, looms across the water's expanse. Not the first decrepit castle I've seen in my travels, but perhaps it might be the last. I have to say that the background illustrations and the character illustrations are really nice so far. And that's where I was staying then, home sweet home. Shit, I barely churned through a quarter of my restraints. Even if I make a break for it now, they run me down on a horseback. I tried before, back when they marched me through the greater plains. They nearly trampled me into paste. Quiet down, you sorry lass. You might not wish to take this time to consider your last words? That's not a bad idea. I'll go hit you with a real singer before I go. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this girl's attitude in this situation, but the old guards groans, mumbling a bitter prayer. I barely have time to hide the dagger before he dismounts and shoves me with more force than necessary. And the camera drops. That's really nice. I can see this game is paying attention to details, and I can really appreciate that. He launches me unceremoniously into a ramshackle little boat, leaving the pockmarked guard to deal with me while he tends to the horses. My breath catches when the remaining guards take the seat opposite to me. His gawky moves nearly makes the boat capsize before we even left the shore. The boat cuts through algae like a knife. Over on dry land, the old guardsman takes a heavy seat in the grass as he watches the sun descend. It's a more serene view that he deserves. I take a deep breath and open my mouth to shout. Why do I have to make these decisions? You old bastard! Overgrown prune! They are both angry decisions. So... this sound kind of childish. Just, you old bastard. You old bastard! The young guard bites back and chuckles and clears his throat. I suppose he's free to find revelry now that we're a safe distance away. As I wearily crane my neck around, I observe how the water completely surrounds this estate. That makes this a moat, but there scarcely isn't a drawbridge in sight. They're just gonna drop me in the water? And its northeast and west edge, the moat connects to a river. Falling one side will likely lead on straight to the Rubicfian Ocean. It's quite lovely, really, to be surrounded by such a wealth of natural water. Shame I never learned how to swim. I don't suppose I can persuade you to ferry me over yonder. All the way around the estate, on the other side of the shore. The guard lets not to reply, he won't even look at me now. Aside from the oars carving through the water, the remaining both sides is really unnerve-wracking. Well, if he's not looking at me, I can break my restraints with the knife. I sit up straight and stock still, trying to keep my weight centered despite the stinging insects nipping at my neck and ankles. The sun turns red and it dips closer to the horizon. It takes half an hour to reach the other side, if no longer. Beyond the lip of the water's scarp ledge, with a pit of trenches surrounding the estate's perimeter. Again, this looks really nice. The guard wastes no time forcing me to upright and pushing me off the side. I fall into a roll, barely cushioning my impact from grassy mud. I aim myself back up with efforts, ready to yell the insult boiling at the tip of my tongue. To my surprise, the young guard's still up there, lingering at the edge. Miss me already? Hesitating doesn't make you better than him. So I feel he's supposed to deliver me to the vampire or something. This is a difficult choice. I mean, it's obvious he doesn't like the other guard, so I guess this will hurt more. Hesitating doesn't make you better than him. With the sun setting behind the guardsman, his features are casting a bearable shadow. His fingers twitch and tap at his side. He casts an uneasy glance over his shoulder before. Finally, he grumbles and rummages through his overcoat. From it, he pulls out the neck of a familiar instrument and throws it into the ground with me. I cry out as my lute lands in the mud, nearly falling onto my own shoulders as I reach and fail to catch it. You'll owe me in your next life, convict. I hope this secure sting provides you some comfort in your final moments. I glare at him. Well, he's not a bad guy. He's just doing his work, right? All got made you nervous, didn't he? All that talk about cutting off hands, you're being underhanded. Shut up. I knew you were acting jumpy for a reason. I just knew it. You were gonna pound off my poor little beauty here, but now you don't want to risk getting caught with it. Harlot. He spits at me before he hurries away. I listen for the sounds of the boat sloshing in the water and then the creak of shore-leave thereafter. Now, why is it when people don't know how else to act with a woman, they must remark how frequently she has sex? Well, maybe if you don't want that, you shouldn't have too much sex. I don't know. With effort, I dislodge the dagger from the inside of my sleeve. I'll still unwittingly about cutting myself. Honestly, that's the only thing men have against women. It's not really a thing, but it's all they have, all we have, I guess. Even if it's a bad defense, it's all we have. I stay unwilling about cutting myself loose is a little easier when I don't need to hide the blade from my captors. And I'm free. Nice. I pick up my lute, carefully wiping off the tear and grime before I adjust the strings. I holster it across my back where it belongs. It's thankfully intact, but I'm not sure I can say the same about myself. I know I need to come up with a plan. I need to explore and get familiar with my surroundings, seek out hiding spot while there's still daylight. But my entire body's aching. So they just drop me in an island to die? I won't get far if I push myself to move now. I check the inside of my clothes for the last of my possessions keep safe and hide under the lining. I've never been more grateful to have learned invisible stitching. What? A handful of coins and my songwriter journal are all I have left. Well, thank God they didn't throw me on the water, right? I had hidden a number of small blades on my person, but I was too reckless in my previous escape attempts. I could get him caught and they confiscated all my knives. This guardsman's dagger isn't too shabby, at least. I took the blade to my belt, but wouldn't they notice they are missing a dagger and come back? Careful not to poke myself, I'll be ready to use it when it's dark. The ledge I fell from casts a long shadow. I edge away from it into the remaining light, and I concentrate on taking deep, rejuvenating breaths. This creature of the night, I hear it can change its very shape. If it pursues me in the form of some animal, I know I cannot run it for long. So yeah, they just drop me to die with a vampire. It's wise to save my strength so I can battle whatever form it takes. After all, I'm determined not to go down easily. Chapter 2. Rhapsodic Introductions. Dusk falls. That's nice, the hue changes. There's barely a sliver apricot orange glowing across the horizon, which means my shelter of light dims and shrinks by the minute. Oh yeah, because vampires don't go at day, right? I shiver at the evening cold bursts under my clothes, and I sense the vampire just moments before I heard it speak.
Well, another gift from the crown.
Voice from the shade. Wow, this vampire has voice acting. What the hell? It's a high-budget vampire. The creature's airy serpentine voice moves around me as I prowl beyond the perimeter of remaining light. It's watching me, circling me like a vulture.
What grievous
I draw my dagger, pointing it at the source.
Assessing your dinner, beast? Your mother should have taught you not to play with your food.
Oh, it's really good. The voice acting is really good. And now I don't have to talk, so that's even better. The voice slaps us into a contemplative hum. You guys can enjoy actual voice acting and not my crappy voice acting. My heart hammers against my ribs as I lose track of the vampire in the silence. I twist around, catching sight of its head reflecting the moonlight right when it lunges. That's a quit lunging. The vampire snatches me by the wrist, the skin of its dark cloud hand bubbles under the waning sunlight before it wrenches me into the shadows. My dagger clatters to the ground.
You're talkative. I usually like it when they're talkative.
Usually?
But yours is an insolent nature. No doubt you've ended up here by disrespecting some local authority.
The vampire holds my arm above our heads, positioning us face to face as he regards me. I scrutinize him in turn. He bears similarities to a human man, but I steal a glance upward, observing his already healed hand with dismay.
You smell of chain rust, fresh soil, dried blood, and insects.
Yeah, I'm a big hit with nuns and orphans.
What? What am I doing? This isn't the time for banter. I struggle in his grasp. He steps forward and we remain blanket under the gloom of darkness. There's a small clatter underfoot as he drops his boot under my dagger, kicks it upright, and then snatches the blade out of the air in fluid motion. That sounds really cool. He twirls the dagger between his long fingers, appraising it.
Most unusual. Few of my guests manage to smuggle a means to escape their bonds. If I had to wager, you must be a talented cutpurse, which wouldn't be the worst offense, all things considered.
Stop manhandling me!
Okay, that's good voice acting, but it's kinda ridiculous. With my free open palm, I smack him across the face and yank my captive hand free. He flinches at the blow, looking more astonished than anything. I don't stay long enough to watch how he reacts next. Gotta run, I run. My lungs are heavy in my chest and my body is screaming at me to catch my breath, but I can't stop now. There's nothing I can use in the courtyard. My only choice is to head into the state and hope to find a means to escape. There's got to be a ladder or something I can use to scale the damn ledge. Then I just need to find something buoyant like a wood panel or a door or something. I rode down these identical hallways. Down several cavernous rooms displacing dining chairs and overturning salon end tables in my wake. But there's nothing I can use to escape, nothing I can narrow down in my panic. All the while the vampire follows me with an even stride. He rubs his cheek with narrowed eyes.
Will you slow down? This is terribly tedious.
No.
You want to step down? He hasn't changed his shape, but I know how quickly he can pounce if I let him near. I can let him get close. I can see his dark hand and the shoulder is... the arm is really black. I topple an nearby cabinet, sending it carrying onto the floor with an us. The vampire makes a small offended noise amid the sound of crushing glass. Before he can react further, I seize the standing base and hold it aloft, ready to throw.
Stop it. Calm down.
Stop breaking my stuff, please. I pivot my grasp on the lip of the base, bending my arms menacingly. Water and flour slush onto the floor.
You dare to tell me to calm down? Really?
Okay, just gonna be fair with the vampire. He hasn't done anything to me yet, right? I mean, he grabbed my hand, but I was holding a knife, so self-defense maybe. There's an audible muffled sight when the vampire staples his hands in front of his nose.
I despise the chase. Look at this blasted mess. Do you realize no one else lives here? After you're gone, who do you think has to clean up the remains of your rampage?
It's me.
I'm sorry. Are you criticizing the way I'm fighting for my life?
I mean, you could fight for your life a little cleaner, maybe.
You must understand, mortal. Despite what the good people of Illuvia will have you believe, I have no bestial compulsion to take your life. Alright? Though I'll admit you have sorely tempted me with the prospect of your demise. There is a civilized alternative worth considering.
You want to turn me into a vampire? A civilized alternative to becoming a withered, bloodless corpse decorating his hallway? I keep the base aloft, held with a willful rebellion and uncertain curiosity.
I'm listening.
That is all I ask. First of all, this here.
He dangles the dagger from one two fingers if it's a dirty sock he found in my chambers.
As a show of good faith, I will return to you this nasty little thing. In exchange, you will not stab me with it.
Fair enough.
Its blade is neither sharp nor long enough to kill me, but it will deeply annoy me. If I am deeply annoyed, I will be forced to rescind my good faith and tear you to shreds.
Fair enough.
Understood?
I furrow my brows, but I nod. It makes sense. If I actually want to incapacitate him, I at least needed a larger weapon. I jet to hire my mates where vampires are notoriously weak to standard cavalry daggers.
Good girl. Here.
He tosses the dagger over to me. It slides to the floor until I stop it with my heel of my boot. I don't bend to pick it up.
Our next matter at hand is the barter. I've been known to spare and set my prisoners free in exchange for knowledge or for an item of substantial value. Fortunately for you, I noticed the loot strapped to your back while you were racing through my abode.
Oh no. I pivot my torso away, trying in vain to hide my instrument from sight.
Come now, don't be selfish. Give it to me and you will have your freedom.
Okay, I don't know what kind of personal value that loot has, but I don't think it's more worth than my life.
Your life will be yours again. Keep away from Illuvia and lay low for several years. And the crown will be none the wiser.
I can't.
What?
I cared for it ever since I was a little girl. How can I possibly give it up now? It's your life. Come on. How is this even hard? I have things I value. They have like sentimental value to me, but nothing more than my life. Okay.
I can't give it to you. No. I nearly lost it once already.
Nothing is stopping you from purchasing a new one once you have your freedom. Certainly you'll have to save up for a while. I recognize the value of an average instrument, let alone how much an artisan lute must cost now after centuries of inflation. However, you will have plenty of chances to...
No.
Okay. You know, this guy is being like really good to me now. Like, really comprehensive. And what the hell, man? Just give it to him.
I said I won't give it to you.
Why not?
Why is he angry at me? Hypocrite. What? You are the hypocrite. What the hell's wrong with you? I raise my voice to match his tone. I can't help it. I get competitive with a vampire that's going to kill you. That's really dumb.
You imply me to be insensitive on the grounds of trampling through your home, but what about you? Demanding my only means of providing for myself.
You can't provide for yourself if you are dead.
Your only means? Nonsense. You're able-bodied, young, far from hideous. Once you have your freedom, I'm quite certain you'll figure something out.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Right? I mean, yeah, I guess there's a lot of things a young woman can do, or young people in general. I don't mean that kind of job. You can, like, just work anything, right?
Your venerable age must have impaired your hearing then, vampire. Because I'm not sure you quite caught it when I repeatedly said no. I am not giving it to you.
Okay, I gotta hand it to the voice actor for this woman. It's really dramatic. It's really good. It's even funny to me how dramatic it is because it's really good. I'm like, I've seen women act like that in real life. It's a really believable act. I love it.
Fine. Then you're not leaving.
Fair enough. He flings his hand skywards, turning and stalking towards the nearest window.
Pray you'll have fun rotting in here for the remainder of your brief and miserable existence, mortal. At which point you and I might have something in common.
Cool. He erupts into a vicious flurry of black mist. Once the smoke clears, I set the flapping outline of a bat soaring off the window and into the night. I grumbled with my gritted teeth, jostling the stupid base that I'm still holding over my head. As tempting as it is to match it, I set it down and begin gathering the displaced flowers with a dejected sight. The blooms are brilliantly fresh and fragrant, but they are going to wilt with weather. God, I just got into a screaming match with a vampire and upset him so much that he had to, I don't know, got to take an angry nap. I'm still alive. I should really count this as a win, but I don't know, my chest is right. It's tied with apprehension. I wasn't supposed to know him. He said he'd rip me to shreds if I know him. Damn it, God damn it. What have I done? I should have offered to barter with something else. I thought he'd be interested in the few guns I have. I can bear to part with my music, but he did mention an option to trade knowledge. And if he had centuries to experience the worlds around us, surely there's a certain nugget of wisdom I can impart. After all, I like to think that everyone I meet teaches me something new. I'll have some leverage if I can figure out what he already knows. And if I can, then I need to find something else to protect myself. The dagger will be a little use aside from cutting rope. Chapter 3, Stray Dog Serenade. Night seems never-ending as I creep through the state. The vampire hasn't shown himself since our earlier squabble. Through his absence, does little to assure my nerves. As any prey animal knows, the deadliest predator is the one you don't see coming. Exhaustion waits against my eyes, but adrenaline keeps me on the edge, pulsing through my veins like a heavy drum. The slightest shift of wind-blown curtains make me jump. I keep expecting those mullet eyes to be watching when I turn. But the shadows are always barren, devoid of vampires. Does he truly mean to sulk for the remainder of the night? I suppose I should count my blessings while I can. As I explore, I notice how each successive chamber is spotless and immaculately tidy, aside from the furniture I disturbed, which I take time to straighten. I uncover my abundance of books, crowding the shelves on various surfaces. They contain an array of technical topics, including geography, astronomy, invocation, and mathematics. They're all dog-eared and full of notes. Don't tell me he's read every book in the state. I can't panic yet. I can still narrow this down. Assuming he takes the time to clean his most frequent spaces, I ought to pay attention to what is and isn't covered in dust. Yet, even locating a single cobweb presents a unique challenge. I set a book down, running my hand across the marble exterior of an engraved fireplace. Even this is pristine, unmarked by old ashes and leaking flames. I mean, he doesn't have much to do aside from cleaning, right? What happened to the music? It's because it's night. You can at least put like some night wind or something. The Neverfire iron at least is encouraging sight. I pick it up to give it a gentle swing, testing the weight, and wince when my arm drops in protest. Ugh. I have to remind myself to use my non-dominant hand. The fire iron has a dull tip that's unlikely to pierce the skin, but a decisive strike should send anyone reeling, even an immortal creature of the night. Yeah, who needs like the vampire killer from Castlevania when you have like a fireplace poke? Of course, pissing him off by whacking him in the head is the last resort. I'm more interested in jabbing the fire into the ledge of the side and using it as a handhold to clean my way up. The idea might sound absurd, but it could work. I won't know until I try. Although, even if I'm successful to scale the ledge, I still have to defeat the moat somehow. My gaze wanders across the chamber. If someone is wealthy enough to build a castle, they usually enjoy surrounding themselves with larger-than-life portraits. One would think that I have to find a big enough painting to pry off the wall and raid across the moat by now, but the door decoy is tragically modest. Well, vampires can be photographed, right? As I move to lower my arms, a golden glint reflects off the dark metal of the fire iron. I pivot my shoulders with caution's hope. There, thin rays of downlight glimpse through the drawn curtains. My body practically moves on its own. I match to the window and wrench the curtains open. Morning daylight fills the chamber. I've never been happier to see the sun peeking over the mountains like an old friend. Till the moment the curtains shift, a small beach shape moves with across the floor. A rat? I hate rats. I always been scared of them. When I hop them away from the shape, I observe how it doesn't continue to move. I bent on spec using the fire iron for support. It's just a 4-foot scrap of parchment, brown and frail with age. Oh god. Yes, it's an innocent sight considering how free of dirt and clutter the rest of the room is. Would you look at that? He's finally missed a spot. I suppose the vampire doesn't enjoy cleaning under the curtains, lest the sun sneak upon him unawares. Well, that makes sense. I turn the paper over, noting the smudge of charcoal rubbing off my thumb. Part of a larger drawing. Maybe in one of those enormous portraits I'm sorely missing. I'm sure it's worthless, but no harm holding onto it. Perhaps the vampire will appreciate my help in tidying it up. I try and fail to hold back a yawn that makes my entire body shudder. The bloom of sunlight fixed the sky, though refreshing to see, also serves as a reminder of how much time has passed, of how little sleep I've gotten. There won't be a better time to get some rest. Well, yeah, I can sleep on the day when I'm safe, right? I look about the chamber a final time to be surrounded by various furnishings in a mystifying sort of torture. Despite how all those nights of sleeping on the ground have left me yearning for the comfort of a cushion, I know I can't sleep here. The vampire needs only to close the curtains to accost me in my sleep. Back outside I go. The days are long this time of the year. I have plenty of time to try climbing the ledge when I wake. I grab a decorative pillow from a sofa. It's not much, but it makes my cobblestone bed a little more bearable. Yeah, you can take some things to put outside, right? I retrace my steps through the state and practically collapse into the first thing of sunlight I find. I awake from the dreamless, restless slumbers into the cold of evening. Sitting up with a jolt, I scan the sky with mounting dismay. Sundown again already? How could I sleep for so long? The clenching ache in my bones and blossoming bruises on my skin reveal the answer to my unspoken questions. My stamina is spent. I won't be able to run the way I did yesterday. No, damn it. It feels like the very shadows are reaching for me, streaking across the ground like long claws. And speaking of claws, from the shade nearby, the vampire looks down at me with flat displeasure. My fingers curled instantly around the fire iron. You're still here, on the ground no less. Where else will I be? Why, I figured you would have climbed onto a roof. You know, it's kind of weird that sometimes it's boys and sometimes it's not. Some mental calculus to determine the best angle of approach, and then slap into the mud to swing freedom. A bit passes a stare at him. Yes, that will be very practical, but anyone who tries it will surely splatter against the rocky ledge below. Perhaps, and even if they made it to the water, they will discover the alligators in the moat. Alligators, really? No. What the hell? I think I liked you more when you were menacing me about with what crimes I'd committed. She dislikes the taste of her own medicine, shocking. He folds his arms behind his back as he paces around me. I'm very aware that he can grab and drag me into the shadows if he so desires. But he's choosing not to. You never did tell me what you did to get sent here. You're right, I didn't. We stare at each other now, sharing an ugly pass. But I apologize for my behavior last night, and for making a mess. Truly? He looks as though he's expecting a punchline. Yes, truly, I don't know what it's like to own a state, but I'm sure it's dreadful having someone run through it. Indeed. Will you tell me what you're planning to do with my fire iron? What, this whole thing? I could lie to him, but I see a little point in it. Well, I'll develop a skill for enthralling an audience with tall tales. It's not if I can trick them into believing my stories are real. Unless they are children, of course, and the pacing vampire has seemed terribly chill-like thus far. In any case, I'm not a good liar. When one is not a good liar, honesty is by far the better policy. That's also true. And also, if you're a good liar, it's also just good to be honest. Don't lie, people. If you leave at me, I will have tried to swing it at you. But I also thought I could use it as a handhold to get over the ledge. I cannot begrudge you for your caution against me. But using a fire iron as a handhold, really? The ledge is made of solid stone. It's solid, isn't it? Surely the stone has weathered down over the years. It most certainly has not. You will begrudge me for trying everything at my disposal? I might if you ruin my fire iron in the process. You need not to try such inventive tactics if you agree to barter with me. Right, yes, about that. I have you know I'm certainly well traveled. How informed are you about recent history and new discoveries through the world? What makes you think I would be interested in such things? You mentioned you were open to trading knowledge. I remember like it was just yesterday. What's happening with this one? Every 2 years I receive a new guest at my estate. Each guest has some capacity to tell me my news outside the world, on the outside world. I have previously offered their freedom in exchange, but hearing news of the outside world loses its appeal when one is not welcome to participate in it. Yeah, I guess, why would you care of a world that doesn't want you? But some men and women have nothing else to give. Sure, you will not deprive this opportunity for a featured guest, when you have more to offer than this. My load feels heavy against my back. What else can I offer that amounts to the price of my freedom? Please, I can give it to you. He scoffs at me. Just when I thought you were seeing sense. But I might yet be a mental as you have been to me. Last night, I hadn't fully understood that you play music as your primary profession. Not at first. My recent slew of guests has been cutthroats and highwaymen. I forget that I also housed scientists and artists. I presume you must be as good as your craft. As such, you need your loot more than I do. Maybe I can offer you a song. The sudden and unexpected empathy leaves me speechless. He takes my silence as permission to continue. I also admit I have been very long time someone has told me no. It irritated me to hear it, but within your right to say it. Forgive me for making it seem otherwise. As if our cordial conversation hasn't been astonishing enough, the vampire inclines his head towards me. You are forgiven. But will everyone have fought you to this bitter end? I imagine there must have been several no's sprinkled in there. He chuckles wryly. When properly bound and restrained, one's capacity to fight to the bitter end is quite limited. I expect this lends itself to making my guests more amenable to negotiation, and to giving me anything I should desire. Oh, he really wasn't expecting me to break free of my bonds. Enough of this matter. I propose we approach this from a new angle. What do you want, mortal? If freedom has no strong appeal for you, perhaps you'll be more interested in power, in mortality. I don't miss the saccharine way he says the last word. No, I'm fairly sure I don't want freedom. I can't imagine what price I have to pay for the other two. My stomach rolls. But I could do with some food. Food. Food, even if it get out of here, the nearest village is miles away, and we'll get far on an empty stomach. You will ask a vampire to feed you? A marvelous modest start to our negotiation relationship. Your empty stomach shall be filled. I shall have a surplus blood lying around here somewhere. I'm joking. I'm not sold that I've forgotten what mortals eat. Come with me. He begins to lead the way, struggle to feed me, but having difficulty staying myself, that he pauses and turns to observe me. I end up using the fire iron to keep him and my balance like a metal walking stick. You look pitiful. I'm sure, my apologies for not being the picture of grace after a 9-day hike with a slave-driving guardsman. Nowhere exactly do you plan on taking me? The vampire is kind enough to slow his pace and walk with me in parallel tandem. To his taste in the shadows and its dwindling light. You're strongly paranoid. I'm taking you somewhere I can feed you, like we agreed. You mean to feed on me, don't you? No. He said it with such a disgust that I gave at him, taken aback. Oh, don't even be good to act offended. Have you looked at yourself? Filthy, dragged to the prison cells and mud, your taste most certainly will be full. I bat bark and retort about how I'm supposed to taste. More importantly, you're not going to kill me and eat me, ever? Covered in muck as you are, I have no desire to touch you. You doubt me? I don't know, it sounds like you'll attack me the moment I'm clean. And I can get a read on you. Maybe it's your fetish to lure your victims into a false sense of security. Your fetish. How easily you remark on strange fetishes? I had my suspicions that you were a traveler, but I'm certain no you couldn't have been raised in Illuvia. Ah yes, beautiful Illuvia. Kingdom of ungraceful brutes. They don't appreciate me here at all. I'm quite certain they don't. You may have a seat and wait here too. I can guarantee the chairs won't bite. Very funny. He smirks a little and the tongue here turns of height. The kitchen isn't right, I won't be long. I got a glimpse of the kitchen during my exploration last night. I noticed it was stocked with well-loved pans and utensils, but I never imagined them to use with any frequency. I expect you to stay put, woefully wounded as you are. If you wander off and I can find you, I'll have to deposit your meal to the moor. Ah, very well. I'll make my ventures spared for the time being. Won't want your imaginary alligators to feed in my place. You're catching on, good girl. True to his word, the vampire returns in short order. He says, you know, I'm feeling this is dragging too long unnecessarily. I know this is developing the relationship between the prisoner and the vampire, but it's getting quite boring for me. So I will stop reading. Well, I will be reading, but I won't be reading out loud. Okay, it takes a bite from food. It's awful. Yeah, of course it's gonna be awful. Yeah, you don't have to over-explain things. I feel like this game has some of it, like, things get over-explained, and you don't need to over-explain when you have, like, graphics and music and world building to do it, right? You don't need to say every single thing that's happening. Well, I get a choice. Guts, it's really not. Be honest, best meal I ever had lies through my teeth. Okay, I'm gonna be honest because I guess she enjoys lying, but well, I guess it's faking satisfaction and being honest. Just be honest. Guts, it's really not. This is one of the worst good fish I had in my life, but it tastes better than starvation. The vampire regards with me and unspeakable expression. Yeah, like, it's obvious the vampire is not bad, and it's a real option to just stay here with him forever. Because I bet he can turn her into a vampire. Okay. Yeah, I hope this... You know, I was expecting, like, I would have to, like, evade the vampire, but this is more like a pseudo-romance novel than like a spooky action novel. And I personally, I'm not a fan of like this sarcastic kind of protagonist. Like, right? I don't like that kind of people, so I can really empathize with them. So I think that's just a me thing. It's nothing wrong with the game. So yeah, I was expecting much as you can trade songs with him. Otherwise, makes the melody hearing okay. Good, I just have to play a single song. It's a simple request and I fulfilled thousands of times over in several dozens. The thrill of anticipation is making my finger jitter. Okay, just play the song. I want to hear if they actually play a song. Okay, let's listen to a song for a second. My voice turns into the best weapon I ever wielded, stronger and sharper than any knife or iron. Or fire iron. And now it's thicker from my lungs, rust through the... Okay. So too bad it's not an actual song. I was kind of expecting a song, since the voice acting was really good and the game looks really polished. But well, I guess I can really complain. It's a free game and it looks amazing. What a rich protagonist. You don't like it? It's one of my most requested Tavern songs. How baffling to hear that human men find inspiration in an intersecting finale. There's a version of this song with a female protagonist. It's not always requested by men. Another unexpected revelation. Well, I can guess I impart the knowledge of... Yeah. Yeah, I can see where the story is going from here. It's like... It's like something to be expected, I guess. Like it's a story like it's really predictable because I have seen it 1,000 times. But what really surprised me about this game is how well it's done, right? Like the little face changes, the quality of the illustrations, the backgrounds, the music, the story is really cohesive also. But yeah, I think it's just not in my alley of enjoyment, and it's actually dragging really long in this part. I understand this is bonding between the two characters, but it's dragging so long. So it also frustrates me a bit because I know it doesn't make sense to don't give the loot to the vampire the first time, right? Because yeah, I understand it's your way of living, but you can live if you are dead, right? It's obvious. So just give it to him. Yeah, I can get over the fact that doesn't make sense, even if you are like this sarcastic kind of person. Just give him the loot, the guitar or whatever, and just go away, right? So all of this it's unnecessary for me, from my perspective. Even if it's really good and interesting, it's I can get over the fact that it's not necessary. So good night, sweet prince. Don't let the bedbugs bite you. I hope you see me in your nightmares. Like these kind of things. Like, hell yeah, you see me in your... Who acts like that with a vampire that can just snaps you and kill you, right? That's what I don't like about this protagonist. It's not about the game. It's about the protagonist. And I understand that it's people that act like this in real life. It's a real protagonist. It's really well written, but I just don't like it personally. So I can enjoy the game to its fullest. So I guess I will be doing a disservice to this game by continue and complaining just because I don't like one character. It's not fair for the game. It's a really good game and I recommend you guys to go and play it. The link will be down in the description with all the games I have played so far. And really, I will keep playing this game, but it's just not sweet to my tastes. And I really enjoy it. It looks really good. It sounds really good. The story is interesting. But then again, I'd rather not be complaining about one thing when all the other things are really good. And I don't want to ruin the game for you guys, so go play the game. The link is down in the description. Don't forget it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, developer, for making the game. I really like your game, don't worry. And I will see you guys in the next indie game or stream. Goodbye.